He's not going to push the button.
First item on the agenda, we've got approval of the admin committee meeting minutes from July 24th as presented by Taylor. Thanks, Taylor. I didn't see any corrections.
Neither.
Right. Consent agenda look good for us. Groovy. Next item, we've got Poor Company Homecoming Block Party alcohol use request in Gormley Park with Amanda Argona. Hi, Amanda. Welcome, welcome.
Good afternoon. Before the committee is one of our first alcohol use requests for Gormley. I called this Operation Guinea Pig Gormley Park as we were working through it. Essentially, our office has now been handling alcohol use permits, regardless if it's downtown or in a city park. And we received a request from Poor Company to have a homecoming block party. The initial request was for 6th Street. And knowing how homecoming can be, we sort of did an initial inquiry with the Moscow Police Department and the Streets Department to just kind of see how that may or may not affect normal homecoming operations. We got together and we all had this wonderful light bulb moment of hosting this particular event in the section of Gormley Park, which is attachment A in the draft resolution, and essentially treating it just like how we've done things for East City Park. So really straightforward. It's anticipated to potentially be an annual function, but this is its first of its kind. And similar to how Rendezvous in the park is set up, the actual event footprint would also double as the beer garden footprint. So that means that any fencing or barriers will have to make sure that no one can pass over under them. It's right along the pathway there. But we're just following standard operating procedures for events with alcohol within a city park. And all that information is included in your packet. And then Stefan, the owner of Poor Company, is here. If you have additional questions for the applicant, I'm happy to talk through process.
I don't.
I had a few.
Okay.
And I don't know if Stefan needs to come up or not, but my concern, and I think this is a great idea, and I love Operation Guinea Pig. I'm all about secret names first. Now, the applicant anticipates no more than 4. What happens if there's more than 4?
There won't be, per the resolution, he can have 4 or less. So the 4 is the max, and that's how we normally do these things for Mosktoberfest or Camp Moskowana, is we want to know the max. And then that way, if they have vendors that drop out, then they're at least covered to the threshold.
Okay, that's excellent. And the barriers that we're talking about are the ones that we provide?
Potentially, or similar to Rendezvous in the park, they have that orange fencing. So it's kind of up to the applicant. The barriers, if they decide to go with the ones that the city owns, that's $2 rental cost per barrier.
Yeah.
And based off of the linear feet, we feel like we can offer that if Stefan wants to go that route, or if he wants to secure orange fencing, he could go that route too.
Well, I think it's a great fun prototype.
Yeah.
So that's all I had.
I have 2 questions. I'm also very excited to see us, quote unquote, activate the space between campus and downtown. And I think, actually, Stefan, would you like to come and share with us your inspiration for this? Because I know I've chatted with you offsides with this briefly, but activating the space doesn't do justice what your vision for this was. If you'd like to share.
I don't know what my vision is. You know?
Just like not a lot of all ages options of things to do between tailgating, right? Like the idea of.
I think anybody that's been in Moscow since we've opened knows we'd like to do beer events and things like that. And being part of like the downtown, like the DBA events and stuff has been really good for Moscow. Homecoming's one of those things where we don't, like, you have the farmers market and then the parade, but then it's just kind of this dead zone before the game. And with this being something where like Missoula's coming over and stuff like that, if you've ever been there, and I think you have, like they go all out for their games, like we could present Moscow to them too, right? Like with so many events going on leading up to a 7:30 kickoff on ESPN. So it's kind of just knowing we have so many people in town and giving them something to do.
Yeah, I like that a lot. My 2 questions. I'm looking at the resolution. I can't remember if you're planning to charge or just charge by the cup or charge for entry, like Rendezvous. I can't remember how we're with a
Yep. So that'll be
differentiator will
a ticket price to get in, and then
Okay.
vendors will accept their own money.
Ruby. That's perfect. And then I love seeing these ball cups are so awesome. I really love these infinitely recyclable cups. It's fun to see those and know that we're not going to have to do glass cleanup or anything like that. From some of the DBA events, I don't think it's been a huge issue, but it's nice to see the ball cups as far as not leaving people with glass things to haul into the Kibbe Dome.
Patio, and people love them.
They're super rad. Any concerns from MPD? I feel like one of the reasons we do clear glassware for the downtown events is because MPD would like it to be transparent. But does that change once there's a gated space around it that we don't have to do like the clear glasses?
It shouldn't. The resolution is actually written to be an opaque glass
Opaque.
and not glass.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
actually had that like changed on my other hat, like the DBA side, like was like something that was kind of changed for that.
Cool.
I'm just doing it for the expense. And again, like,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's lightweight, it's recyclable. I did talk to Chief Fry today and he's fine with everything we're doing. So.
Oh, I figured he would be. I just was excited to see him because what do you got?
Clarify that. What's the opaque versus not
Yeah.
statement? I thought we
yeah.
had to have them.
So it's actually in the code, Mia, I think, is that correct? Or the ordinance that it's an opaque
Container.
container.
Are those opaque?
I always get them backwards. These ones
Beautiful.
are opaque. Yeah.
Are you,
Go ahead.
Well, it's
are you at
gray
all
on
concerned
here.
about running that at the same time the parade may be going on?
No, because the parade will be done, like it'll be ending when mine starts.
Yeah, 1:00 is right after.
Like I
right?
was trying to time it with like, go to the market, go to the parade, go to my thing, go to the
Waiting.
game.
Love it.
That's great.
My only other question, because I never remember what time the sun sets, but we're beginning of October.
Mm.
Any concerns about lighting? Do you have a mitigation plan? Are we going to need to throw the ball field lights on? I feel like by 6 it won't be too bad, but as people are exiting, I'm trying to remember what we're working with.
We have not talked about Gormley Park lighting. And by that time, you're probably in September is when you start to see 8 p.m. kind of be that dusk time. So this being the second weekend in October, it'll probably
Getting
be
into it.
dark. So that would be something that we would
Groovy.
probably work with Stefan on, and probably he would work directly with David Schott and his team on.
Love that.
Ish. I think it'll probably be fine though, because Moscoverfest is October 7th and that ends at 8.
Mhm.
And it's starting to get dark around there when we're tearing down. And by the
Okay.
time we're out by like 9, it's dark, but I think it should be fine.
Cool.
Well, and either way, you learn prototyping. So the next year you squeak it back a half an hour or something.
You stop being a guinea pig.
Yeah, no longer a
Then you're
guinea
not
pig. Yeah.
anymore.
My favorite place to be.
I love it. Yeah, I just had cups and lighting questions. Any remaining questions from the crew? All right. Anything else you'd like to share with us, Stefan? Cool. Groovy. I don't have concerns and I'd like to recommend approval. Do we need to see this on consent? Is that
Yeah.
okay?
So
Consent sounds great. Thank you, Stefan and Amanda.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Okie dokie. Number 3, we've got Health Insurance Consulting Group contract renewal with Bonnie and Sarah. Hello, welcome, welcome.
serious.
We'll try. We'll try to be serious. We need to get closer. All right. Good afternoon. So today I'm going to be presenting 3 contracts with the Murray Group for renewal. So these contracts are associated with our benefit consulting and system platform services that we use for managing and administering the city's employee benefits. So although all 3 contracts are in your packet, just kind of a quick summary of the 3. So the Murray Group Consulting Agreement, this really provides just general terms and conditions for our consulting services with the Murray Group. Also provides information related to our associated fees, payments, fiduciary responsibility. The Business Associate Agreement, since Murray Group is our insurance broker, they do need access to employee protected health information. And so as required under HIPAA, our Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, this agreement is much more detailed in providing them with the necessary access to that information. And then the last contract for renewal is for Employee Navigator. Employee Navigator is our online platform that we use for administering all of our open enrollment, new employees coming on board, termination of employee benefits, changes to benefits, dependents through that system. Murray Group utilizes the system on their end to provide our benefit vendors with any updates to changes related to our employee benefits throughout the year. They get those reports on a weekly basis and send those to our vendors. So in order for us to ensure that we're kind of effectively managing and administering, that's what these 3 renewal contracts are for. For this year, our benefit plan started August 1st. And so just in order for us to continue to effectively manage and ensure that we're remaining compliant with all federal benefit related laws and things, we're just needing to move forward with the agreement. So bringing these forward for approval. Open to any questions you have.
Is there a reason we didn't we didn't put this on the agenda in July before the contract ran out?
Yeah, so when we put so we had all of our insurance renewals through our vendors at that time. There were a couple of areas of these contracts that needed to go through legal. So Mia and the Murray Group have been working through updates to those contracts. So we just got all of those updates and changes to the language that was needed on behalf of the city through us and then through them. So we just got those back for us to move forward.
You said something about needing to disclose a certain amount of health-related information to them.
Yeah,
Could you explain that to me? Because it seems to me that that's a problem. I've never had to disclose anything about my health, any health insurance.
No, it's just based on the systems that we use and their access to our vendors. So our vendors like Regions, as our broker, they're able to resolve various employee benefit questions or concerns. They're also able to work with employees and our vendors on if there are disputes related to billing and those types of things. So they are able to access employee records if they are released to do so by the employee. And just based on having access to Employee Navigator in there's a variety of just that protected health information that's required under HIPAA. So as our broker, they have access to that information through Employee Navigator and through just general consulting services with us and the vendors.
Okay, so I'm still curious in terms of how anybody ever gets access to someone's health records.
I mean, maybe reviewing the claims, right? Like that was my
Mhm.
question is I'm trying to remember whose side they're on. We are signing a contract with Murray Group
They're
to be our advocates to the insurance agents,
that's correct.
right?
Yeah.
So you look at subsection B of the associate agreement, it covers the use and disclosure of health information, protected health information, and it's, 1, to perform and assist with any activity regarding HIPAA privacy security rules, including but limited to claims processing or administration, data analysis, utilization review, quality assurance, billing, benefit management, practice management. It's also to assist with the covered entities, other business associates retained to provide legal advice, accounting, actuary. So if we had an outside actuarial company, they would have to have access to that information to look at utilization, not necessarily individual medical conditions, but claim history so that we can understand whether the insurance provider's renewal rates are appropriate given our utilization and history.
But it's just enough to require us to have a contract to grant them access.
Correct. Just because that information is protected, this just sets forth the terms and conditions under which they can access the information and only for those uses. Correct.
Yes.
Are you comfortable with these 3? Do they help you? And
Yeah. So based on just the management of the services, the services that they provide, these are definitely necessary for us just to continue to kind of meet our status quo of the benefits that we're offering to our employees. Yeah.
and there's no gap in spite of the fact that this is the 20th.
No, the insurance, we already renewed with the insurance provider. Murray has continued to provide the service. In the past, these agreements have not gone through legal review or council approval. So this is a new practice this year, bringing both Regions contract through because it is a fairly sizable contract of about $1.8 million.
Yeah.
It just had been administratively signed in the past. And so this year we brought them to the council. We had some difficulty in trying to clarify a few items with the Murray Group, and that's what caused some delay in getting this one in place. They made reference, the prior agreements made reference to external documents that they couldn't produce, and it took us quite some time to try to clarify what documents we were seeking so we could review those. We just essentially ended up eliminating the reference to those external documents. And so they accepted that change. It just took us a good, 60 days to try to work through that process and try to get that clarified. But there's been no gap in services.
Okay.
Thank you for reviewing with that level of detail. With that, I mean, so I've got a couple of questions. And I've got a lot of thoughts. So remind me how long we've worked with the Murray Group.
So I did try to go back to see how long we've had contracts and work with them. It's been for a number of years. And I did try to work with Lori to see how far back we could go. We've got contracts. The ones that I have on file were 2019, but we have contracts further than that. So I know that we've been utilizing them since even before like 2010.
Yeah, I'd say at least
It's
2010 and
it's been a
beyond.
yeah.
In my recollection, they've, I think, been predominantly our health insurance consultant. I'd almost say for the last 20 years. I'm not sure it's quite been that long, but it feels that way. It's certainly at least 10 years.
And they were previously, they before the Murray Group, they transitioned to the Murray Group. And before that, it was, I literally just looked at it. It was
Is it even around? Is the entity even around anymore? I mean,
they just changed. So
got it.
Same
Yeah.
people, just
Okay.
different name.
I don't want to open a can of worms by asking this question. I mean, is this not subject to the same sort of like open competition thing? Like, as a service provider of the city, do we need to be shopping? Should we be shopping? I have a really hard time with the health insurance industry as a whole because it is not very, talking about opaque, it's not very transparent. It's not very clear. And I have learned through people who are smarter than me in my day job that it shouldn't have to be this complicated, and the industry has made it this complicated. So like, I'm asking for the interests of our employees. If they're on our side and they're meant to be there so that you don't have to staff the benefits questions all the time, and we don't have to have a full-time person administering benefits at the city, I get it. I just am happy to ask a couple of questions to make sure that this broker has shown that they have our best interests in mind and that we are getting value for what we're paying for in the contract.
Yeah, we have reviewed the services that Murray provides us, both in claims negotiation, requesting proposals from different insurance providers, the actuarial analysis, the COBRA administration, the open enrollment renewal assistance. I mean, they do provide us with services. I think otherwise we'd have to have another staff member that would be full-time been in administration. So a vendor that provides this service is something that we think is in our best interest. I think it's about $45,000 per year for the service on a $1.8 million contract. So it is something that helps us negotiate rates that have substantial, in the past, they have been advocates for us in negotiating lower rates from regions. That being said, we probably will be shopping this service by the end of the year as well. And so we will be going out and already have an RFQ drafted that'll be being published here in the next 30 days or so, because we do think it is time to see what else is out there in the market.
Ruby, my last two thoughts, if that's okay. I like that it comes through to us. I like for us to understand, knowing that people are one of our most expensive pieces of the city budget. And so and within that is not paying people, it's insuring people. So I appreciate the visibility, and I would ask for there's nothing that needs to change in the contract. If I understand right, the broker is where we can start asking for some help in healthcare price transparency and asking for us to get more information from the insurers to make sure if there's a price difference between services of our employees who are maybe going to the Troy Clinic versus the Moscow Clinic, even if owned by the Moscow Medicine, Pam Gritman, whatever their subsidiary is. I'd love to see us gain some more transparency in healthcare costs. So that's like a soft ask. That'll be what I'll be asking for as we explore new contracts and just David and Goliath. This is my guinea pig. This is my David and Goliath sandbox I'll die on. So sandbox.
No, actually, my
Soapbox.
thought was just simply
Soapbox. I hear
wondering
you.
why we didn't do it in-house, kind of like the university, and they've got a lot more employees than we do. So for $45,000, this is a deal.
Yeah.
You cannot
Because
get
there was
enough
somebody who
reps.
specialized in that, and That's what they're not for.
Yeah, when it comes to all the various compliance rules and regulations, and the disclosures that are required and ensuring that we're staying on top of those and that we are ensuring our employees are receiving those, it definitely is worth it to be able to ensure that we're staying on top of that.
Yeah, not questioning that it makes sense to have a broker, just making sure that we have a good broker that has our best interests in
And I
mind.
think you can go on the consent agenda.
How we feel? Consent? Consent agenda, is that okay?
Yeah, it's just fine.
Groovy. Thank you much, Bonnie and Sarah.
Sarah?
Okay, fourth and final thing on our agenda today is proposed lot line adjustment at 1998 Ben Gifford Court and 1974 Sunnyside Avenue with Amy. Hi, Amy. Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, before you today, it's a lot line adjustment for 1998 Ben Gifford Court and 1974 Sunnyside Avenue. The lots are here, just located north of Palouse River Drive, west of Highway 95 in the Anderson 7th Edition, highlighted there in red. The zoning of the two lots are R3, as you can see. Adjacent to the north is R1, and to the south R4. Zoning, medium density, requires lots to be a minimum of 6,000 square feet and have a lot width of 60 feet. Side yard setback requirement is 5 feet. These are the two lots currently as they sit. Ben Gifford Court at 21,378,000 square feet and 1974 Sunnyside Avenue at 10,627,000 square feet. The applicant's proposing to adjust the rear lot line just to square it up, make it easier for maintenance and landscaping. So the end result is Ben Gifford Court being just over 20,300 square feet and Sunnyside Avenue just roughly under 11,700 square feet. Pretty straightforward. There's a survey, the approve the lot line adjustment with no conditions. And I'd be happy to take any questions you have.
Any questions from the crew?
I have none.
Makes sense. I don't know how you'd mow back to a corner that pointy.
Point. Yeah.
Groovy. That sounds great. And we recommend approval and consent agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. Groovy. Thanks, Amy. Anything else before we adjourn today? Going once, going twice. All right. Thanks, everybody.